Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1974 Winter Baseball Classic Tournament. We got a series today in the third region, Tucson versus New Orleans. Let's take a look and show you what happened. Game one, in Tucson, Dick Ruthven versus Sonny Siebert in this. A lot of offense early. In the first inning, the road team has 5 singles and 3 runs. The visiting team collects, how many times did Ruthven walk? 7 in this game, so there's about 5 of them there with some singles. It's a 4-3 game. But you get a 2-run homer by George Mitterwald, and that's the end of the scoring. So Ruthven actually pitched long enough to collect a victory with Diego Segui getting a save. It's a road win for New Orleans. Game number 2, well, let's just get to the end of the game. Don Sutton has a 5-0 lead, and you're thinking, oh, road sweep for the road team. But no, Sutton gets knocked out in the 8th inning. And the bullpen gets knocked around, and Diego Segui blows the save somehow, even after Ron Blomberg hit a 2-run homer in the top of the 10th inning, as New Orleans is figuring out more ways to lose when they should possibly be sweeping an inferior team, but Tucson gets the victory. So let's go to Game 3. Okay, Game 3, another game where New Orleans should get the win, but they blow it in the 9th again. So Tucson's up in the series 2-1 because they play better in the 9th inning than the first 8. In this particular instance, Andy Etchebarren hits a 3-run homer, and that's a 4-3 victory, beating, whatever's in this bullpen. Here's the thing. We know that the talent level is down, of course, because you're getting a bunch of spring training players with some veterans mixed in. But basically, they start by building a starting pitching, and then everything else just gets tossed into the bullpen without, situational awareness. And it just doesn't really matter who you bring in at the end of these games. They're all awful, or they're all just, there's not a pitcher here. Well, actually, Doug Bird is a good pitcher. The other 7 in the combined bullpens are regrettable, but that's what you get in spring training, folks. But somebody has to win this. And we're in New Orleans. We're in the bayou with Dr. John playing in the background. We got some beautiful, look at the trees in each locale. This is in Tucson. This is out the window from a Motel 6 with the purplish orange skies of Tucson. And this is St. Louis Cemetery number 1 in New Orleans. So there's your touristy portion of the game. Game 4 from New Orleans. They need to win this game to send it back to a Game 5 in Tucson. Tucson will send Ron Reed out there. Ron is still a starting pitcher in 74 with the Atlanta Braves. 10-11, 3.39 ERA. Nice card, 186 innings. Should support a road victory, actually. And it's Steve Stone in here. He was a Cub in 74, 8-6, 4.13 ERA. Slight edge, Ron Reed and the visitors, but that doesn't mean anything. I'll play 8 innings of a baseball game, and then crazy stuff will happen in the 9th. Normally, that's a cool thing, but anyway. Leading off, Pat Bork, 3.7 is a K. Bill Russell, 68 is a single. Ron Fairley, 65, second X. Your second baseman is Davey Johnson, a 4.19, but he turns the double play. Bottom of the first, Dusty Baker, 47 Ks. Willie Davis, 3.9, flies center. Davey Johnson, 3.7, is a base hit. And Ron Blomberg, 45, rolls second base. Top of 2. Gary Matthews, 54, short X. Your shortstop is Louis Gomez, a 3E32, makes the play. Darrell Evans, 112, double 1-4, base hit. Tom Grieve, 1-8, single 1-5, he gets it. 2 on for Dave May. 2-6 is a 3-6-3 double play. Now, Tucson doesn't really do much to the late innings, I've noticed. The series should be over, I think, if we played 7 or 8 inning games, but there we go. George Mitterwald, 110, single. Carlos May, 312, skies the center. Dave Kingman, 47, strikes out. And Tom Hutton, 59, pops to short. Again, another low-scoring broadcast on the horizon. Fran Healy, 1-8, walks. So, it's Frank Baker. 210 is a clean double to left field. Second and third, and it's Pat Bork. 49 is a single to center field. That will score 1 run, and Baker will hold at third. They're going to try and build a rally here. It's Bill Russell. 3-6. The infield up is a roller to third. The runners are going to hold. The runner at first goes to second. So now you have second and third with 1 out and 1 run in. Ron Fairley. 1-7's a walk. Loading the bases. They're going to play it back, though, for Gary Matthews. 59's a sac fly to center. You got first and second with 2 outs, and it's Darrell Evans, and he strikes out. 2-0 visitors. A rare early lead for them. Louis Gomez, 63, right X. Tom Greaves, a 4-3 in right field. He surrenders a 2-base hit. Johnny B. Baker, 44, catcher's X. Fran Healy's a 3-9. Reaches via the error. They're on the corners for Willie Davis, 49, single 1 to 16, can't get it on a 19. Davey Johnson, 65, second C, that will score a run. 2-1, runner at second for Bloomberg, who grounds to third. We'll go to the fourth. Tom Grieve, 43. Pitcher X, Steve Stone, is at E25. And he kicks that one. Dave May, 3-4, pops to first. Fran Healy, 1-5, flies left. And Frank Baker, 64, lines to second base. 2-1, bottom of the fourth. George Mitterwald, 64, pops to short. Carlos May, 36, grounds to short. And with 2 outs, it's Kingman. 2-8, strikes out. We go to the fifth. It's Pat Bork. 2-10 is a roller to the mound. Bill Russell, 3-11, flies to right. And Ron Fairley, 45, short X. And Louis Gomez is a 3 shortstop. And he makes the play. So, with that, we get to the bottom of the 5th inning, folks. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel. Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Okay. Back to the game. Bottom of the 5th, a 2-1 affair. It's Tom Hutton. 45, rolls to second base. Louis Gomez, 2-6, a single. Dusty Baker, 4-12, first C. And Willie Davis, 3-4, pops to first. We go to the 6th inning. Gary Matthews, 1-3, grounds to short. Darrell Evans, 4-10, grounds to short X. Again, Louis Gomez makes the play. The 2 outs, it's Tom Grieve, 55. He rolls to second base. Bottom of the 6th, briskly moving along here. Ron Reed and Steve Stone showing a nice performances here. Like I said, the starting pitching is generally pretty good in this thing. It's just when you get to the bullpen, it gets ugly. So hitting the point of weakness is more critical here than in our carryover league. Davey Johnson, 33. Grounds are short. Ron Bloomberg, 1-8. Double 1-9. It's a 2-base hit. Your tie run at second for Mitterwald, who pops to first. And with 2 outs, it's Carlos May, who pops to first. We go to the 7th, 2-1. It's Dave May, 1-9, flies to right. Fran Healy, 1-5, flies to left. And Frank Baker, who's really had some hits on his card. That's a very poor one, but he's getting them anyway. And 2-9, again, does it. He's hit this card. He's got the 210 card. He keeps getting the hits on it, though he's a 172 batter in 29 plate appearances. 2-9, double 1-8 is a 2-base hit. Back up top to Pat Bork. 58, skies to center field. So Steve Stone, nice little story. He's gotten through 7 innings. It's a 2-1 game. Stretch time here in New Orleans. We are listening to the Dr. John Gree LP, 1968. Walk on Gilded Splinters closes this thing out. Brilliant, brief, wonderful piece by Dr. John. Let's get back to the game. All right. Bottom of the 7th. Ron Reed's a starter 7, but I think I want to have him get to the point of wages before I think about this bullpen. Dave Kingman, 1-7 to strikeout. Tom Hutton, 1-7 is a pop to third. And Luis Gomez, 3-5 is a fly to left. We'll go to the 8th. Stone continues. Bill Russell, 54, short X. Again, Luis Gomez tested a lot today. This time he finally gives up an error, but was tested often. Now, Bill Russell is the only speed on the team. He's a B stealer. Let's try stolen base. He's in there. Does not get the T rating. It's T1-11. Oh, he did catch it. I missed. Yeah. Mitterwald right there said 1-11, very high, and he did catch the 11. So he's at third base. That's a big moment. Nothing but goofballs here. You have an error in your shortstop, and your catcher just threw it into center field. Insurance run at third, nobody out. Infield comes up. Ron Fairley's the hitter. 3-4 strikeout and an injury. Oh, well, they lost the first baseman. I guess Pat Bork could play there. Matter of fact, they'll put Echeverria behind the plate with a -2 arm and make Fran Haley the DH in corresponding moves. Infield still up, Gary Matthews, 5'10", third X. Kingman is your 4'37" third baseman. Can he make a stop here? No, it's an error. So that will score a run. The third error of the inning. It is 3-1. Now, does Gary Matthews want to steal? He's a C. Nah, he'll just stay at first for Darrell Evans. 1-7's a K. How about stealing with 2 outs with a C? It's a +2, not being held. That turns on an 11 and a 13. That's a very reasonable chance. So let's do that. And he's safe on the 13. So I'll often do that. Teams just, don't hold a runner, a C stealers or worse with 2 outs, and you have a chance to nab a base, and Gary Matthews just did. A rare stolen base for one of my C stealers. So now the runner's in scoring position for Tom Grieve. That's a base hit off the Stone card, so we're going to run him. If he stole second, we're certainly going to try scoring him now. He's a 16, 17, 18. Davis has a -1 arm, making it a 17, and he scores on a 13. Again, you don't look at this. You look up here where it says advance. So Grieve does get the RBI single, and it's 4-1. Dave May, 3-6, single 1-6, and he catches that one. None of this stuff is earned, nor is Steve Stone broken, because it's nothing but errors and a couple singles that just came in. And Fran Haley strikes out. We'll call it the day for Steve Stone. He's still going to chase a victory if his team can rally in the bottom of the 8th off of Ron Reed. Normally, Reed would be gone. I go to my lefty setup guy in the closer, but Not a big fan of Dave Tomlin's card. Doug Bird's a nice card, but let's have Ron Reed hang in there a little bit. Do we need any more defense? Yeah, we can put... Jim Cox at second base for Frank Baker. As one move. And there's one more move to make. We can also bring in Morrell in the outfield and make Tom Grieve a DH. That would take Fran Healy out, who just batted. Okay. Bottom of the eighth for Ron Reed. It's Dusty Baker. This kooky series, expect a team to score 3 or 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth. Dusty Baker strikes out. Willie Davis, 48, pops out. And Davy Johnson, 110, he walks. And Ron Bloomberg, 6'11", strikes out. Ron Reed, outstanding through 8 innings. New Orleans will send Diego Segui out there in the ninth. This is the first time New Orleans has actually been behind the 8 ball in this series. They've been leading most of the time. Not today. So it's Jim Cox, the defensive substitute, will come in. 3-4 is triple 1 4 double is a triple. The infield's up for Pat Bork. 54, a sac fly to center field, and we got a 5-1 game. Bill Russell with 1 out. 56, Ks. And Echebarren, 45, flies to right. All right, I'm going to mess with this. So I'm going to bring in the only competent pitcher in either bullpen to pitch the 9th inning. That's Doug Bird. And his card is up with Kansas City. He was closing games out a year ago. This particular card for him is probably better suited to be a setup card. 7.6, 274 ERA, 92 innings. Relief 2. He's asked to not blow a 4-run lead in the bottom of the 9th. You'd think. But we've seen it time and time again. So here we go. Mitterwald leads off. 54, skies to right. Carlos May, 49, single 1 to 19. He gets it. Dave Kingman, 47. There's another single. That's half the runners you need on the bases. Tom Hutton, 2-9. Oh, there's your walk. There you go. Now I need the grand slam to tie it out of Louis Gomez. Let's see. Let's give us a chance at this at least, right? Let's see. On the bench with power is original A-Rod. No, he doesn't have power versus righties. Would you look at that? They can't hit a homer. They cannot hit a grand slam, at least not with this guy. Doesn't matter. Rick Dempsey's going to be the pinch hitter because he gets on more than Louis Gomez. So here's Rick Dempsey as a pinch hitter. 67 is a K. And it comes down to Dusty Baker, who of course has plenty of power and 20 home runs. With your bases loaded and 2 outs at the bottom of the 9th of a 5-1 game, here's your pitch to Dusty Baker. 2-9 is a grounder to the 3rd, and oh my goodness, a closer just protected a 4-run lead in the 9th inning. Progress. Baby steps. Still put 3 guys on base, but not being credited with a save. That is, we'll take this right to the post game because we have a 3-1 series win for Tucson, who had to come back in 2 out of the 3 of those games. So we'll just do the stats. Segui gave up a hit and a run and a K in the 9th. Stone loses, but it really was his defense that let him down in a lot of this. 2 earned runs early, 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. Berg is up 2 hits, a walk and a K. Ron Reed, a nice little start here. They don't need hit. Colorado has the rights to Ron Reed, but they already have a card with him. Move to the bullpen, where he was much more effective by the mid to late 70s and beyond. So Ron Reed does not need to start anymore in our summer league. He gave up 5 hits and an unearned run today, showing us, Ron Reed is a really interesting story, folks, because He actually has baseball cards from 1969 at least, maybe before, through 1984. And that's the year of my timeline. So there's just a small group of Major League players who can play all that time. And you'd be very surprised that Ron Reed is one of them. Joining Steve Carlton and Tom Seaver, for example. So it's Don Sutton, another one. Very surprising list for Ron Reed to be on. 1009-0109 5917 2627. That is your game 4, and we'll just take this right to the post game. Take a look at some stats here. So Tucson, by winning 3 out of 4, is 6-5. And New Orleans finishes, I think, 3-6. We got both their stats here. New Orleans finishes 3-7. They are eliminated from the tournament. The 3-7 New Orleans team hit .219 with a 5.38 ERA. But I mean, right here at the back end, you got 2 losses from the your 8 and 7 pitcher. Segui, nobody pitched 6 innings. They gave up 8 earned runs, 8 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 2 earned runs. That's where it was really awful. Offensively, Bloomberg with a nice card, 12 for 41, and Mitterwald 13 for 37. Tucson, 6-5, hitting .249, 3.65 ERA. Ron Reed went 2-1 in 22 innings with an ERA of around 3. Jim Bibby's card got knocked around a little bit. Ken Brett's card pitched well. And actually, their bullpen definitely pitched it a lot better than New Orleans' bullpen over the tourney. Doug Bird, 6 1/3 innings, just 1 earned run. Dave Tomlin, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Lindy McDaniel and Dave Sells have scoreless inning streaks. So that's sort of the anomaly here for Tucson advancing. So we will plug in the tournament numbers here. Tucson wins 3-1. So New Orleans has unceremoniously been knocked out in the first round 2 years in a row with a worse record this year. And Tucson is 6-5 with a better record than last year. And that means that these two have to flip. So we'll put Mississippi here and Tucson there. And we'll put the 6-5 and the 5-6 there. And when we add up the cumulative games over and under 500, you have a -4. This should all add up to 0. -1, +1, and +4. And that's how you can check that out. We still can't seed our teams until we get the results of the final losers bracket series between St. Pete and South Carolina. So after the break, we'll take a look at New Orleans cards and do an evaluation of them as they pertain to the Summer League. So stick around. All right, here is New Orleans cards. We begin by looking at the keepers. Dusty Baker probably will go with this card with Atlanta. It's a very nice card. There will probably be a trade to the Dodgers in the next few years, but for now he's still with Atlanta. Bloomberg just has a really nice group of 4 years here. Between 72 and 75, he's still hitting 300. Willie Davis was traded to the Expos. We moved him there. And he's still got a decent card. He's not a 1 anymore in center. Davey Johnson, well, he goes from 43 home runs to 15, but still a lot for a second baseman with the walks. Defense regresses. Carlos May had a great 72, decent 73, and third year where you see a decline. You see a full season with just 8 homers and a 249 average. That would have killed the White Sox. He's not their problem. So He probably, he's on Ohio players' radar. Now, Aurelio Rodriguez was traded to the White Sox to play third base for his defense. And you care more about that than the average. So, yeah, that's the trade-off there. Oddly enough, in 74, you saw Carlos May, but at least A-Rod is a better defensive player. Sutton has 4 good years, you can imagine, for the Dodgers to choose from. This ERA is over 3. Usually his ERA is sub 3. And Steve Stone is on Arizona's radar. They could take this, or they could take a card where you can pitch on 3 days rest. 4 players on waivers. We got a nice catcher here, George Mitterwald. How do you end up on waivers? Are you talking about a power-hitting catcher who walks? So you can make this guy a full-time player. I mean, just kind of double those numbers. Put him in double digits in homers. Got a +2 arm, though, so he'll practically not be a full-time catcher, but you can see the stick is certainly there for a catcher. Harry Parker, he was a decent starter with the 73 card. Now you don't want to do that. He's getting knocked around too much. Does get righties out, but a lot of righties do that. David Clyde had a really terrible performance here in the tournament, and that's hardly surprising. I think it's time to let him go here. There's too many walks. Segui has a few options for a card. The ERA is 4. I think he's got lower ERAs than some of the other years. So he didn't have a good tournament either. None of those pitchers really did to open eyes. If the point was to open our eyes to say, hey, this guy's pretty good, it didn't happen. To a certain degree, all these guys here were asked to play versus lefties, and they didn't face a lot of lefties, so we didn't get to see a lot of them. And you could just see the Dempsey card is kind of nice as your catcher with a -1 arm, who actually plays left field a little bit. It's a neat card with a power on this side, and then over here you get some walks tossed in to make it intriguing. Still a Yankee then. Leo Foster, no practical value here. I mean, multiple position utility player, but he's not a 3 anywhere, and his stick is pretty bad. Louis Gomez has often been in our leagues, but as a better defender than a 3.32. Sometimes he's a 2, sometimes he's a 3.16. And gets on base here a reasonable amount, but just not worth the trouble. Ruthven, surprisingly, is still not in our summer league yet, and we know he'll be eating up innings for the Phillies and then the Braves, I believe, as well. You see 213 innings here. He'd be part of that Philadelphia playoff team, I believe. It's just that the Phillies have better pitchers right now, and Ruthven's got to wait in the minor leagues. Speaking of waiting in the minors, so to speak, we saw this with Cincinnati sandbagging on Ken Griffey and George Foster, keeping them in the minors while they had Bobby Tolan and Pete Rose in the outfield. They just weren't going to bring them up. And then we have some players who have the last group. Tom Hutton already has a card in the league, so they don't need no evaluation of this, as does Dave Kingman. Blue, of course, has a magnificent 76 card in the league. And Frizella has a card where he actually gets lefties out. Here's another disappointing pitcher. So, yeah, you saw a mixture of regression and slumps for a New Orleans team that didn't play very well, and for the second year in a row, get knocked out in the loser's bracket. So that's it today. Eliminating New Orleans. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.